Hello, this is Mr. Dufresne, and I'm back with the unit on the 1-2-3 method by Leonard Bernstein. This will be lesson 7, putting it all together. This will be our last lesson in this unit. So to kind of recap, Leonard Bernstein was a famous conductor of the New York Philharmonic. He was also an acclaimed pianist, a composer, music philosopher, music educator as well. So in his studies, he analyzed and listened to, and a lot of pieces, and he noticed that over and over throughout the last few hundred years that the great composers all did this same kind of thing, and so he called this the 1-2-3 method. So today our objective is the students will use what they learned in this unit to compose an original piece using the 1-2-3 method. They're to demonstrate an understanding of the different ways of changing or varying the main idea. The students will go through the 1-2-3 method 2 times in this lesson, but we're going to go through this an extra time than we have been. Students are to understand what the 1-2-3 method of composing is, and there's 4 basic ways that in this unit that we have changed the main idea. We have changed the octave, making it higher or lower. We have changed the rhythm by making the notes longer or shorter. We've changed the main idea by adding notes, and we've changed the main idea by subtracting or replacing notes. And the students will do each of these at some point during this assignment. And then this next few things this is just review, but understand what an octave is, what rhythm is, what duration is, the difference between rhythm and the steady beat. Understand that the term variation in music means change. We can vary or change a musical idea. Students will improvise an ostinato riff and will understand the difference between improvisation and composition before creating a simple drum groove. The next part of this document is the study guide. So from here all the way down to here, make sure that you look over the study guide before attempting to answer the essential questions after the assignment. And then following this last essential questions for number 7, we will have a review followed by a unit test. While we're in this document here, before I go into BandLab, I do want to just cover a few of these things here. So I'm going to start with the difference between rhythm, duration, and steady beat, and then I'm going to talk about octave in BandLab. So duration, just as in life, if we say, how long does something last? The duration of something is possibly 30 minutes, or the duration of this is an hour. So in music, music has long and short sounds. That's our definition of duration. Rhythm is similar, but it has a pattern. There's some kind of pattern of long and short sounds that the listener or the musician can lock onto, that the brain can identify and recall. If there's no pattern, it makes the music very difficult to listen to. And then the steady beat is just the main pulse of the music. All right, so I'm going to discuss octave, but let's get into BandLab. MIDI instruments all the way to the left. Slow the tempo down. When you're all finished composing, if you'd like to speed up the tempo, that's fine. Enable the metronome so we hear the steady beat throughout this process, and make sure that we're on 2 bars. That gives you 8 clicks before the recording starts. Now let me just show you real quick before we get in, review this octave stuff. So I set the pitch here, enable the pitch. Now I'm looking at the musical notes, the actual musical notes on the keyboard. You'll notice there's a C here, and then there's C here, and the C here. So the distance between these two notes is the interval of an octave. All right, and And so we have different octaves here. So when we are changing the main idea, really what we're going to do is we're just going to change this number. And that will raise the octave of the instrument. Right? So that's the octave function as a review. All right, let's get into the assignment brief. We're going to have 10 tracks. This is a 2-class assignment, so you get 2 class periods to work on this. Choose strings, winds, brass, piano, or guitars. And if you've got another instrument that you'd like to use, go ahead. Those are some suggestions. I don't want to choose everything here for you. All right, so we're going to use all the ways we learned to change the main idea. Adding notes, subtracting and replacing notes, changing the rhythm, and changing the octave. So when I go down here and it says, repeat the main idea with the change using one of the methods outlined above, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about changing the main idea by adding notes, subtracting, replacing, changing the rhythm, and changing the octave. There's 4 of those. So there's 4 opportunities to change the main idea in this assignment, and you should use one of those at each one of those opportunities. All right, so the first thing we need to do is compose a main idea. And so you can have the pitch disabled so that you can see the notes on the keyboard. All right, there's my main idea. We want our main idea to be 2 measures long. So that's one measure is the distance, or 1 bar is the distance between 2 numbers. So 2 measures would be up to the number 3. Oh, I'm going to change this sound here. That wasn't exactly what I had in mind. Try that again, sorry. All right, so I'm going to move the cursor, save. I'm going to add a track. And you can change instruments if you'd like. All right, so now this is the first opportunity to change in one of these 4 ways. So I'm going to repeat my main idea, and you're going to do one of these 4 things. I'm going to replace a note here. So I had I'm going to change this note, replace this note with this one. Just swapping out one note. So notice that as we add or subtract things, that our 2 measure phrase might get longer, and that's okay. Save. All right, so I replaced a note that time. Add a track. And you can keep changing instruments if you want. You can use the same instrument. That's up to you. I'm going to add notes this time. So I'm going to go back to my main idea. That's the one I like. So far I've replaced a note and I've added notes. Click save. Now we've got the blast off. So this is just something different. No longer using that main idea that I was using before. This is kind of a search for a new main idea. And I'm just going to improvise this to save this next track to save a little bit of time. Save. Add a track. Now we need a new main idea. And somehow that got to my fourth track. I made a mistake here, so let me just fix this real quick. Okay, so I've got a new main idea. And I played idea. Save. Now you can see there's a little extra space there, so I'm just going to start with recording right after that for my next track. And if I want, I can let that go, but I have the option of doing that. Okay, so far I've replaced a note and I have added notes. Now I'm changing the octave. And I might change it a little bit, change the musical idea as well as changing the octave. So I kind of repeated part of that idea. So that was step 2, save. Now I need to repeat the main idea again with a change. And I'm going to go back here just to take a look to see what haven't I done. All right, first I replaced a note, then I added notes, then I changed the octave. Now I need to change the rhythm. So I'm changing the length of the notes, making them shorter or longer. So you see I'm stretching the notes out at the beginning, and then I'm playing them quicker after that. And a lot of times what happens if you stretch something out, then maybe you try to balance that out by playing something a little quicker or faster. Or here I left a space and then I played something quickly. That was kind of a way to balance that out. Save. Now comes the blast off. So I can't get down and see some of these because the solution waiting for that solution updated to go away. All right, so move the cursor again. And this is the last step of the 1, 2, 3 method the second time. All right, so this is the blast off. So anything that's not the main idea, it's kind of just a transitionary period. Save. All right, now we've got 2 more tracks. We need an ostinato, and we need a drum track. We go back to the beginning. We want our next track to be as long as everything we've composed so far. Let me follow the instructions here. Sorry. Improvise an ostinato riff. Improvise. So I was composing. I was really trying to plan that out. I can't do that. So I have to do this in one continuous take, and I'm not going to plan it out. All right. So I'm not going to play what I was just playing. Play something else. And sometimes, if you'd like, you can mute these other tracks so that you don't hear them. Sometimes those can kind of get in the way. I'm not going to do that, but. I'm really starting to feel a real lag here, which starts to happen every once in a while where I'm trying to, we call this latency. I'm pressing the keys and it's not responding in a timely manner. And that was definitely, that whole time I was playing that, I was struggling with latency issues. So I only have one more track to go. If I wasn't shooting a video, I would shut this down and maybe restart my computer, and that would usually take care of the latency issues. But we're in the middle of this, so I can't really do it. All right, we need a drum kit track, and you can use drum pads if you'd like. Also, if you'd like to copy and paste part of this, and then like compose four measures, copy it and paste for the rest of the way, you can do that. You can also do that on this that last ostinato track. And remember, you could hear an ostinato or riff is something that repeats over and over again. 3, 4, or 5 notes usually. We call that a riff or a repetitive accompaniment pattern, which are basically the same thing. All right, so you can compose, if you'd like, this drum track, or you can improvise it. I'm going to improvise it just to save time. Hopefully, the latency issues won't cause too much trouble. But I definitely having a hard time playing with a steady beat because it's just not responding to my wishes here. All right. So I'm just going to stop it there because the latency is getting so bad I can't take it. So I'm going to come back later and do that drum track when I can, where it'll respond more and play more with a steady beat. So that's bothering me enough that I'm just going to call that, and let's go on to back to our objectives. All right, so the students today were to show what they've learned in this unit by composing an original piece using the 1-2-3 method, demonstrating an understanding of the different ways, 4 different ways, of changing or varying the main idea. We went through the 1-2-3 method 2 times, and we should have used each one of these somewhere in our track 2, 3, 6, or 7, right? So changing the octave, changing the rhythm, the length of the notes, adding notes, and subtracting or replacing. And we talked about what an octave is and the difference between rhythm and duration in the steady beat. Remember that the term variation is what we use in music that we call this change. We say we can vary a musical idea. We improvised an ostinato riff, and we talked about the difference between improvisation and composition before we create a simple drum groove. So make sure you access the study guide here before trying to answer the essential questions. Then there will be a review, and we will have a unit test. Thank you for joining me.